Dennis added another entry onto his CV when Manway eventually got them to the end in 10th. A driver who has an even longer record of entering the Safari was Frank Tundo, who first took part in the event in 1972, 40 years ago.
It takes me hours to change a...
He was being navigated by his daughter Tasha, driving the winning car from last year, but they didn't get it to the finish this year when the alternator packed up. Azhar Anwar is also an old hand at the Safari, having entered for over 30 years, including winning outright in 2004. Together with Julius Gige, they were strong contenders for a top placing and were lying 6th at the end of stage 3. In between the stages, the cars made pit stops at the centrally located service park at Il Bissel, where the mechanics had the task of keeping the cars going. Up at the front, the cars were now in the long stage 4, 87 kilometers of hard and technical driving. For many, it would be the turning point of the event, including for the rally leaders Alistair Cavan and Gavin Lawrence. Their luck ran out when they hauled the radiator, forcing them into retirement. Carl Tundo and Tim Jessup were running ahead of Kavanagh on the road, unaware he'd stopped and were driving hard. They were quickest by a huge margin, and with Kavanagh out, were the new rally leaders. Ian Duncan and Amos Lutz were also driving hard to close in on the two cars ahead, balancing their pace between staying at the front and preserving the car. They were caught off guard by Tundo's turn of speed, coming second on the stage, but were now second overall. Maintaining the unrelenting pace was out of reach for Baldev Chagga and Raju Semi in the N16, losing nearly 90 seconds on the stage, but what was important was they were now in third. It was on this stage that Jas Mangat and David Israel's rally came to an end, and the gear selector fork broke, relinquishing the lead amongst the foreigners. The Safari has always been prone to the unpredictable African weather, and as the cars headed around the hills, a storm broke overhead, filling the hundreds of gullies typical of a flash flood. Back at the start of the stage, whilst they were crossing a swollen drift, Charles Hinga and Job Njuro faced a torrent of water which swept the car off the road.
In the river we were praying, believe me. Past my driver, I was figuring out which side is he going to come out from.
From my side, actually, so like we'll actually drown.
Because what happened is that sitting in, you could see the water, the river coming from the hill and then going over, the bonnet.
With the car blocking the route, the rally was halted whilst it was recovered. But with more similar drifts ahead, the organizer stopped any further cars attempting the stage.
Well, unfortunately, it is getting late in the afternoon now, and we really can't let them wait there for the flood to go down and then let them rally at night. We wouldn't like to do that now. But it's flash floods in the hills further up, which has brought the water down and washed away the drift completely now.
Flash floods on the Safari have been common in the past, and in the early years, the crews just had to persevere. The crew driving this car in 1996 were lucky to get out when the car was swept off a bridge, leaving it firmly wedged in the riverbed after the water receded. Only 22 of the 63 cars still running got through what had been the last stage of the day, with the remainder all given extended service in lieu of a bogey time. On the leaderboard, it was all change. Carl Tundo was now in the lead, 54 seconds ahead of Ian Duncan, with Baldev Chagga in third. The following three had inherited privileged positions. The cars were regrouped and held in Parc Fermé overnight, reseeded to run in their overall placings, And it was Carl Tundu and Tim Jessup who were first on the road, heading 50 kilometers towards Tanzania for the first of the 2 stages of the day. On this final day of competition, fans turned up in droves at the spectator point, caught up in all the excitement. On this 60th anniversary, there was much interest in how well the classics did, as a reminder of the bygone days when it was these cars that were the frontrunners. There were 5 of these oldies entered, including the all-lady crew of Samira Khan and Chantal Young in a Mark I Escort, who put in a sterling performance. They did well to finish, considering the age and power of the car, and having got stuck, forced off when a steering bracket broke.
Sadly, when I went off in a very wet part of the road, you know, just on the side, right on the edge of the road, and we just sank in, straight in. Took us a while to get out, and we lost about half an hour.
Ramesh Vishram and Jaspal Mataru were in a Mark II Escort, which they got to the end of day 1 without a hitch, but on day 2 it went horribly wrong, redesigning the car on a fast left. Another Mark II Escort driven by Jonathan Soman and Rue Heckel were the clear favourites to win the category, and right from the start set the pace, extending their lead on each stage.
This is my background, growing up with a Safari and these old cars, rear-wheel drive, and that's how I learned to drive. So this is the stuff I like to do. When you get a bend absolutely right and the back comes out and you slide around the corner and it's just perfectly lined up, it's just fantastic. It's such a good feeling.
They were headed for victory, starting the final stage with a 5-minute lead, but it was snatched away when the engine blew within sight of the finish.